Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Every time Stampin' Up issues a new catalogue, I host a product share. And a product share is where those who join in get a little bit of each of the new papers, the new ribbons and embellishments. They get a portion. And that allows them to have a nice big collection of products without them having to buy whole packets. It's like a taster. If they like the product, then they can go ahead and order more, the whole packets. So as part of my thank you for people who participate, I like to do a little one sheet wonder. Now, each person gets 6-inch squares of the decorative paper, and once somebody said to me, well, what do I do with 6 inches of a 6-inch square of paper? So this was my answer to them at the time, and I'm going to now share with you this year's or this shares one sheet wonder. And there are four cards, and I've done this with one of the papers, these 4 cards, and I'm going to use one of the other papers to show you how I created it. And I'm also using this as an opportunity for those ladies who did join in the share. This is a little explanation of how to use your papers. Now, my one sheet wonder this time is going to be using the By the Bay decorative paper, and it comes in 6-inch squares, and you can see that they're kind of foiled or some kind of, I don't know, luster on one side, and then on the other side they're printed, and there's some lovely patterns. So I've chosen one of the patterns, and because I'm cutting these into relatively small pieces, I chose one with quite a bit of detail, small detail, which was much the same as I did on these ones. Is to choose one that has small detail. Right, so this is my template that I put together. So out of our 6-inch square, we're going to basically cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little pieces. Card 1, card 2, card 3 and card 4. So to start with, I'm going to cut my my decorative paper. Now, I don't think this has really got a direction, to be honest. So I am just going to do my first cut, and I'm going to literally cut it in half like that. So there's my first cut, and I kind of mark it on the instructions. That's my first cut. And then I'm going to take one of the pieces, and I'm going to cut this piece into 3 1 1/4 inch slices. 1, 2, 3, and then that leaves me with this piece, which I'm not quite sure what size it is, but let's just check. So it's 2 1/4 by 3. So I'm going to flip it round 90 degrees, and I am going to cut this in half. So those are the pieces for my card 4. These pieces are for my card 3, and I want to try and keep them, I think try and keep them in order in case I want to put them in order there. And then here's my other piece that's 6 by 3, and I'm going to cut this into 2 pieces, so 3 by 3. So there's my 2 pieces, and so this is going to be card number 1, and then this one I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to put that one as card number 1 because I quite like that big shell. So I'm going to pop that there. And this one I am going to cut into triangles. So I'm just going to line up the corners of my, over my cutting edge. And I'm just going to cut that corner to corner. So I've got my 2 triangles like that. So that's how I cut up the designer series paper for our cards. Now my next piece is to decide what colours to go with this. And I mean, you've probably realised by now that whereas I did this one, which was a very feminine one, I'm going to make this sort of to be perhaps a bit more masculine, or maybe not quite as feminine. Okay. Now, if you look on the back of your packet of decorative paper, it gives you the colours that's in it. So this one has got Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, Mint Macaron, Night of Navy, Petal Pink, Pool Party, and Sahara Sand. So if I look at this, I'm thinking that there's my Night of Navy and Sahara Sand. And this is, I think that's Mint Macaron. So that's my starting point for my colours. Now the other thing I wanted to do was to use some of the other products that were in the share. So one of those was these lovely Milky Dots, and then the other was the Pool Party ribbon. This is Grosgrain 1/2 inch Pool Party ribbon, which is just absolutely gorgeous. So I thought, well, I can have my Sahara Sand. There's my Sahara Sand. And I can use Night of Navy. So this is my Night of Navy. And I decided that I would use Pool Party for my card base. And that would bring through the ribbon. And it looks really good with the decorative paper. So that was my color combination. And so that's always a good starting point, is if you're going to use decorative paper, look to see what colors are used, and then you can take it from there. Now I have my Sahara Sand, and I did do a little bit of prep and ran these through one of the embossing folders. So I used the Cascading Ruffles because it did remind me a little bit of sort of, you know, the ripples on sand as the tide goes out. And especially if you have it sort of this way. And because this is sort of a beachy theme, I thought, well, that is going to go with that. So with my cards then, I'm simply going to fold in half and attach my decorative, my embossed pieces with liquid adhesive. Now you can use whatever adhesive works for you. I prefer liquid, but whatever your preferred is. Okay, so I think I need a new adhesive. There we go. So the only thing with a new one is that if you press too hard, you get a big old squidgy blob. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these layers onto my card bases. So one. Now when I embossed these pieces, I did 2 pieces with the ruffles going in one direction and 2 pieces going in the other. And that's because I wanted to have some landscape as well as portrait cards. So now my card bases are 8.5 by 5.5, and I just scored them in the middle at 4.25. And then the pieces I'm putting down now are 5.25 by 4. And just the one more, and we've done that part. Now you don't need to try and make copious notes here about my card sizes. If you look below the video, you'll see that there's actually a link to my blog, and on my blog will be the actual supplies, the dimensions and everything, that you will be able to see them, and links to my online store where you'll be able to go ahead and order your goodies to create these cards as well, if you are not if you didn't join in with my share. So that's that part. Now my other color I'm going to use is Night of Navy, and these are my pieces, my layers, and basically I cut these 1/4 inch larger than my paper. So for this one, this is going to be my first card. This one is 3 by 3, and I'm layering it onto 3.25 by 3.25. So that's that piece. And then these 2 pieces, one of them I'm going to stick face up, and then I think the other one I'm going to do face down like that. I think that will give me quite a nice contrast and a change in texture. And I'll show you shortly the original ones I did, because I did the same thing. So there's those 2 pieces stuck down. Now if you wanted your margins a little bit finer on this, you would just cut your pieces of cardstock an 1/8 inch bigger instead of 1/4 inch. Excuse me. So on this, the paper, the decorative paper, is 2 let me see, 2.25 by 1.5, and so then the dark blue, the Night of Navy, is 2.5 by 1.75. And then I've got these pieces here, and there's my 3rd piece. Now on my original sample, I flipped over the middle one and used the back. I quite like the fact that it was a different contrast. So what we'll do is I'm going to flip this over and see if I like the same thing. And this one has got some sort of iridescentness on there. I don't know if you can just see that. I quite like that. So I'm thinking that I might just do the same thing. And so we've got like a consistency there. Right. So I start by putting the two end pieces on. So I've got my borders. So in a second I'll tell you, I believe that this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 for my piece of blue. Okay, make sure my shell, that's a beautiful, I love that big blue shell. Like that. And then this piece I put down last, and that way I can make sure that it is centered like that. There we go. So I've got cards 1, 3 and 4 layered up. So now I've just got card number 2 to do. So as you remember, this is the one where I have used a 3 by 3 square and I've divided it to make a couple of triangles. So I've got my 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece of Night of Navy, and I'm just going to line up my 2 opposite points over the cutting groove again, and I'm just going to cut that in half, and we're just going to stick the pieces down. So I'm going to pop one like that and one like that. All right. So you can see if you cut all your pieces out together, you can actually build up your cards very quickly. I've got a tiny little bit of adhesive there that snuck its way out. So there's one piece. And then here is my other. So there's those pieces as well. Excuse me, I do beg your pardon. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble the cards. Now, I'm going to do exactly the same as I did for my original designs. So this one, I'm going to make a landscape, and I want my ruffles to sort of be going downwards. I don't know if they'd work quite so well, but I'm going to have them going downwards here. So all I'm going to do is attach some dimensionals to my back, and those who watch me regularly know one in the middle and one on each corner. So that's going to be this one, and I'm going to pop it toward the little bit toward the top there. So that's that one. And then we're going to take number 2, and again this is a landscape one. So we're going to put our dimensionals. Now, if those are not familiar with these, they're basically double-sided sticky pads, and they've kind of got a foam in the middle, and they just lift things up. They literally help pop things up. and just give extra dimension to your card. So I just want to make sure that I've got this the right way up. So that's the top one. And this one I'm just going to place so that it has a border to give it a bit more, again, a bit more dimension. Well, I hope this is giving you ideas about how to use your decorative paper. I myself am a bit of a hoarder when it comes to this. I fall in love with the paper, and then I spend my time thinking, well, I need to find the perfect project. And of course, the perfect project never arrives. So that's that piece. So I set myself a target a few years ago that I was going to use my paper. Now this one I am going to set as a landscape, and I really like the idea of using my ribbon, and I'm going to do that before I attach anything else. So I'm going to just take my piece of ribbon and cut it like that, and make sure it doesn't move on me. I'm going to use a little glue dot. And I'm going to pop that down the middle and then flip it over, and I am going to use some sticky tape. This is just something that you would use to wrap up your gifts. It's nothing special. And pop it on the back there. And then just double check, make sure that that's in the right place. Pull that over. And I like to use a little bit of tape because I have this fear that when someone opens the card from me, it'll fall apart. So that I always have a little bit of, put that extra little bit of adhesive there, just to make sure that that doesn't happen. I would be mortified if my card fell apart as soon as somebody opened the packet over the envelope. So this one I'm going to pop in the center. All right, so how are we doing so far? This is going to be a little bit longer than my normal videos, but hopefully you'll feel it's worth it. So this one I'm going to sort of put my pieces cascading down. So again, I am going to put this one down flat and just put dimensionals on this piece. So let's see, I'll get some liquid adhesive on this one. And this one doesn't really have an up and a down, although, I'm going to do this slightly differently. I am going to put this like this time. When I did this one, the pink paper had got like a tone-on-tone print that gave me just one direction. So I had to put it that way. This one doesn't really have a direction. And so I think I'm going to put that like that and like that. Okay, just need to think a bit about this one because I've changed the pattern. Oh, right. That's it. I have made my decision. So I'm going to pop this down like that. And there we have that. Now, the stamp set I decided to use for this is Friends Are Like Seashells. For obvious reasons, it's got seashells on it and my piece of paper is seashells and my colours are a bit beachy. So I'm using this one, and I'm using I'm just using thank you. I think that you can't go wrong with a thank you card. You can always use those. So what I did was I've chosen to use Night of Navy, and I cut my banners out using the Stylish Shapes dies. This is a great set. Circles, squares, and banners. I mean, absolutely perfect. They layer on one another. They're stitched. They're really pretty dies. So I cut out in white, and I'm just going to stamp. Hopefully I don't get my head in. I can't see on this white. Let's see if that's any better. Nope. Okay, let's just go in for the big guns and use this piece of blue card. Now, I got this mat. My friend Ellie in the UK uses one of these all the time. And they're great for, because it's silicone and you can wipe it off if you get any goop on it. But the other thing is that I've positioned it so that I know that if I don't go outside of this white piece, you're always going to be in shot, or I'm always going to be in shot. Again, and that was another tip from Ellie, which I thank her for. Which is really neat. Now, did you know that these edge pieces on your dimensionals are also sticky? Sometimes I see people throw them away and I think, oh, no, that's just not right. Because they're just as sticky as the rest. So we've got that piece. Now, in my other design, I use the oval punch. But to be honest with you, because it's kind of got the scalloped edges, it is a bit feminine looking. So that's why I decided I would use the flags or the banners. Right, so let's just go ahead and attach these. I've already done the ones for the other cards. Like that. So if you want to create these cards, you can do so using whatever you have in your stash in the way of punches and stamp sets and things. If you want to follow these instructions, as I say, the supplies will be listed on my blog, and then there will be a link to my online store where you can go ahead and order them. Now I'm going to do one of my faux knots, so I've just slipped that underneath there, and I'm just going to pull it tight so it looks as though the ribbon has been wound all the way around. Now I do this like a faux knot to cut down on the bulk for my cards. Most of them I send overseas, and so having them too heavy can cause a problem. Now, because I'm going to go for a bit more masculine, I'm not going to do bows. I'm just going to do a few knots. And let's see. I'm going to pop those on with a dimensional. So I'm thinking on my feet here. I haven't, as I say, I hadn't worked this particular design through. To its conclusion. But, you know, that's what we do when we card make. We, you know, we kind of go with the flow. And also, I wanted you to see that, you know, if you do yours slightly differently, have different colours and different greetings on them, you know, you will have to kind of work it out as you go through. So I'm going to pop, and then I think what can I do with this last one just to make it a little bit different? Oh, I've just had an idea, and I don't think it's going to work with this one. So let's go ahead and just gently ease that off, and pop that. I think I'll pop that there. I like that. What I think I might do here is kind of do a little flag, and I'm going to put a glue dot in about halfway down and just fix it in place like that. Give it a good old squeeze, and then I think I'll put a couple of glue dots on the back here. Like that. I think I might just pop it like that. And then we've got some of the embellishments that were in the share, and these are the adhesive backed Milky Dots, and I'm going to need another glue dot just there. That is actually gaping, and I want it to lay down there. Yeah, now behave yourself. Now I'm thinking that I am going to I'm going to use the blue ones. I'm going to put a blue one at the top like that, and a couple of the little ones coming down. Ooh, I really like that. Yes. Now this one, some of these are like little milky dots. These are sort of a clear one, so I'm going to use some of those. Well, I'm going to use that one and that one on the end of the flag there. I'm going to leave it like that because we've got ribbon on there. I don't want it to be too much. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one, is to just put the dots on those flag, end of those banners. And well, maybe I ought to go and use another of these blue ones. I've just had a little thought. To balance this, I'm going to put one in the middle, and then I'm going to put one. Oh, I've got left some putty on there. If you haven't got one of these tools, these are absolutely great. It's called Take a Pick, and it's got a little bit of putty in there. And you can see it allows you to scoop up the embellishment and to position it exactly where you need it. Ooh, love that. Now, the only thing I haven't done is to do my liners. And I'm not going to do all four. I'm just going to do one of them. And I'm going to use my Night of Navy, which I've put somewhere. And I'm going to use one of the little shells that are in the Friends Are Like Seashells. Like that. And I'm also going to do my envelopes, and I'm going to do my envelopes like this. Again, I'm going to do that. And then in that stamp set, there is a fantastic dotty stamp. I love dotty stamps. They are great for filling. So I can just put some dots, and this is using the lighter colour ink, the Sahara Sand, like that. And I will do this for each of my cards in the set. And I'll just put this in one of them. I'll use this one here because that's more of a landscape. So what do you think? I really hope that you've enjoyed this. If you are one of my share ladies, I hope it gives you some inspiration on how to use your 6x6 pieces to create cards. And I'd really love it if you do, is to go on my Facebook page, and there's a link underneath this video to my Facebook page. And why don't you go ahead and post your creations for me? So there we are. We have a one sheet wonder using a 6x6 piece of decorative paper. We've used some ribbon and some embellishments from the share. And hopefully you are inspired. Well, if you've enjoyed the video, please go ahead, give me a thumbs up, and you can subscribe if you don't already. And if you've got any comments, just leave them below, and I will look forward to reading them. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.